on the Dynamics GP. Lisa was a business systems analyst at American Express and ran a successful accounting software consulting practice. She's implemented ERP systems for clients in a variety of industries, including banking, wholesale distribution, manufacturing, advertising, not-for-profit, leasing, road service, wineries, building materials, property management, restaurants, healthcare, and professional services. Lisa specializes in requirements analysis, solution design, application configuration, data migration, data administration, end user training and support, and business process analysis and workflows. Lisa is a Microsoft Certified Professional and received the Associates 2012 Outstanding Contributor Award. We're happy to have her on board and giving us this webinar today. So I'll go ahead and make Lisa presenter. And Lisa, you can go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you very much, Dawn.
Okay. You're welcome.
We're going to, so you should all be seeing the presentation now. And again, my name is Lisa Williams, and I'm a senior consultant here with Associates. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to show you 9 different new features within the Fixed Assets Management module for GP 2013. GP 2013 was released at the end of December, and it included quite a bit of recoding and enhancing the Fixed Assets module. I'm going to show you the new historical depreciation reporting capability, how to reset history in detail, some enhancements to the posting process between fixed assets and general ledger, the capability to auto-generate the next asset ID, integration with the analytical accounting module, mass backout of depreciation, how to transfer assets between companies, how to set up the fixed assets calendar, and locking the current year. So we'll start with the historical depreciation reporting capability. And this is one that I know I have clients that have waited for this one for quite a while. This is the companion, so to speak, report to the historical age trial balance reports that we all know and love from the receivables and payables modules. So this, in essence, allows you to go back in time and state what your asset values were as of a specific date. And to do that, there's a new field called Depreciation as of Date field in the Report Options window. Also within the Report Options window, there are 8 fields available for sorting your records and 19 fields available for selecting the ranges of your asset records. The as of date is available in 5 of the 6 depreciation reports, and I'll show those to you in a moment. And there are 2 new checkbox fields in this Report Options window: Calculate with Original Amounts and Display Reset Amounts. Both of these checkbox fields are specifically for reporting historically on assets who have had their life value reset due to changes in depreciation-specific fields. And those fields can include a date field, cost amount, or a depreciation method change. So in the historical depreciation report window here, so this is the report option window, and the new field is the depreciation as of date right here. And let's see, we're going to switch over to GP from here, and I'm going to show you how this report works. So we're going to first start by looking at the book records for an asset. And we'll just go ahead and pull up the internal book. This is the book that posts to the general ledger for this office desk. And the office desk has been depreciated through 2/28/2017, and the net book value is $690.48. So we're going to go ahead into the report. Move my bar around here a little bit to get there. There we go, reports. And we're going to go into the depreciation report. And here are the 6 different depreciation reports available within GP. We're going to take a look at the depreciation ledger report. And here is the report option. And I have it already predefined with a depreciation as of date of 4/30/2016. So we're going to go back in time to April 30th, 2016, and we are going to look at what the net book value was for asset number 1 as of that date. So we go ahead and print the report, and down here we've got the accumulated depreciation through 4/30/16, and my net book value is higher at $879.40. So this is how the historical depreciation reports are working. These are the 2 new check boxes, calculate with original amount and display reset amount. Calculate with original amount allows you to go back in time and run the historical depreciation using the original depreciation that was booked for the asset before the value was reset using the reset tool. So the box here, when that is checked, you will see original amount, not the reset life amount on your report. The other box is available only on the depreciation detail report. In order to do the type of reporting that the detail records are needed, and those are available in this depreciation detail report. The display reset amount allows you to run the report with the amounts that were pushed through the system to reset the value of that asset. And again, this is only if you've changed the value because of changing depreciation sensitive fields. Okay. So we're going to go back over here to our slideshow. And the second thing I'm going to show you is a company setup option that's available now to reset history in detail. And this goes hand in hand with those 2 checkbox fields I just showed you. Previous to version GP 2013, when resetting the value of an asset historically, it would only go back and post a summary entry to restate the value of that asset. That does not provide you with true historical reporting. So this feature was added to the company setup window to enable the asset values to be reset in detail. Here's the fixed asset company setups window, and here is the reset history in detail option. So you're going to want to check that box if you're on GP 2013, or if you want to, or once you've upgraded to GP 2013 and you want to use the historical reporting. The next item I'm going to show you is the enhancements to the posting process between fixed assets and general ledger. This and the historical reports, I feel, are the 2 most important new features within fixed assets. The post to GL in detail allows you to post 1 journal entry per fixed asset transaction. In the new posting window, you now have a lookup that shows you all of the fixed asset periods along with beginning and end dates. Previous to that, it was kind of blind selection of the periods. And you can, before posting to general ledger, edit the distributions. You can change the GL account. So if you have an asset where maybe the account wasn't set up right, or there's a missing account, or the transaction needs to use an account other than what it defaulted to, you can go ahead and change this in the subledger before posting the transaction through to the general ledger. And since you're posting in detail, you can also edit and have distribution references within each debit and credit entry that flows over from fixed assets to general ledger. And last but not least, before you post, you can review the edit list. The setting for this is a company setup option. So you're going to want to turn this on in company setup. And here again is the fixed asset company setup window. And here's the new field for posting in detail. So now I'm going to show you how the fixed asset posting enhancements work. Here's the posting window from GP 2010. And here's the new posting window from GP 2013. So you can see the features that they've added are pretty significant. So we're going to go over to GP. And close up my windows from before. And the posting feature is under routines in the same place it was before. So we're going to maximize the routines palette here on my financial area page and go into GL posting. And you can see here you have a batch ID field. And this batch ID field can be used to save these fixed assets transactions before posting them. So in essence, you can have multiple batches of fixed assets transactions that are saved and waiting to be posted over to General Ledger. I'm going to post using the October 31st, 2016 date. So I'm going to go and look for transactions that occurred during that fixed asset period. And I'm going to post to GL in detail. And so here is my period lookup window. So this window is new, and you can now see your beginning and end dates for each of your periods. And I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And I'm also going to limit this to a particular type of transaction. So I'm going to go out and grab a retirement transaction and insert that into my selection here. And the next step is to click on the Process button. The Process button is not going to post these transactions. It's simply going to go out and retrieve the transactions that meet the restriction criteria that I've entered in this window. So I can see down here that I have a fixed asset that was retired, and it's backing out the value of the vehicle from the balance sheet account. And I actually sold this. This was a company vehicle, and it was sold for $15,000. And it was actually sold to an employee. And rather than pay cash for it, the employee is going to pay for it over time through payroll deductions. So I need to record this as a receivable on my balance sheet rather than cash suspense. So here I can go in and change my account number from cash suspense to other receivables, and I can also supplement the distribution reference field here and say it's due from my employees. So that field, this distribution reference field, defaults within fixed assets to the period, the fixed assets period, and the asset ID. And you can change that here before posting to General Ledger. So this will show up in what's known as the description field within the Account Transactions Smart List. So here I'm all ready to go, but I want to just double check it before I post it to General Ledger. So I'm going to go ahead and select to print the edit list to the screen. And here I've got a list of the 4 distributions, and I can review that, make sure it's correct. And once I have verified that, I'm going to go ahead and select Post. And the posting report that comes out is basically the same report that we just looked at you notice the green bar down at the bottom, that was a progress bar. So you'll be able to if you're posting big batches, you'll see that progress bar move a little slower than it did for us today. So here's the posting report, and again, it's the very similar to the edit list. And I'm going to go over to my general ledger transactions and take a look at the journal entry that was created in my FATRX 5 batch. And in my distributions here, I can see I've got the modified distribution reference and, of course, my other receivables account. So this makes a really nice, clean audit trail between your general ledgers and your fixed asset subledger. Okay. So we're going to go back over to our slideshow. And I want to show you the next company setup field available. And that gives you the capability to set the next asset ID. And it will enable you to increment the asset IDs by 1. And when you set the next asset ID, you can optionally include text characters at the beginning of it, for example, FA at the beginning of your 00025. Before you set this field, you want to make sure that you have looked at your existing assets to make sure that the sequential series that you're setting up will not coincide with assets that you already have within the system. So you want, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So here again is the fixed asset company setup window, and here's the new field for auto-generating the next asset ID. So we're going to go in and check the existing assets. We're going to set the next asset ID, and then we're going to go ahead and create a new asset using that next asset ID. So back over here in GP, we're going to go to the setup for fixed assets company window, and we're going to select auto-generate the next asset ID. And I'm going to go ahead and put FA at the beginning of my 0025. Oops. We want to go back before we set that and take a look at our existing assets and make sure that that's the number that we want to use and that we're not going to conflict with any asset IDs that already exist. So here's my asset general window, and I can see my asset IDs in the system start with 0001 and end with 00024. Now in your system you may not have sequential numbers like this because this has been a free-form field in the past. So you might need to do a little bit of planning to determine how you want to increment your asset IDs. So back in the company setup window, I've set my next asset ID to FA0025, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then I'm going to go into the general fixed asset card. And here's my next asset ID, FA00025. And I'm going to, I've noticed this is a little bit glitchy here as I've been testing. So once you pull up the asset ID, you're going to want to hit your tab key, and that will automatically fill in 1 as your sequence. If you're integrating with your accounts payable or purchase order module, you'll have the ability to bring in a purchase and link it to the asset, which is what I'm going to do right here. I have an ergonomic desk that was purchased and then posted to the fixed asset clearing account. So I'm going to go ahead and select the class ID and the physical location and my structure, and I've now added a new asset with the incremental next asset ID. So now when we go over and look at our company setup, The next asset ID is FA00026. So back over to our slideshow. The next feature is the integration between fixed assets and analytical accounting. The analytical accounting module is a module that supplements the GL and allows you to subcategorize transactions that you post to the general ledger. So this functionality has now been included within fixed assets. So you can flag fixed asset transactions with analytical accounting dimensions for more varied reporting. This feature is turned on in the analytical accounting module under Administration, Setup, Company, Analytical Accounting, and Options. And in there you check the Enable, Transactions, Dimensions, and Fixed Assets. So this is where this function is turned on to integrate between the two modules. Before you turn this on, though, you do need to make sure you've gone into your fixed asset to general ledger posting and completed the posting to your general ledger. If you don't, you will get this message. You must post the unposted transaction before marking this option. Now, this functionality is brand new in this release, and just based upon our experience with the analytical accounting module, it can be a bit temperamental at times. And I'm recommending that if people want to incorporate this integration between analytical accounting and fixed assets, that you wait a little bit, probably until the second service pack for GP 2013 has been released. And that's just a tip to kind of let other people find the bugs before you incorporate that functionality within your GP system. In order to use the analytical accounting with integration with fixed assets, you need to assign a fixed asset alias to your account for that asset. So in the asset account window, under additional, there's the analytical transaction function in there. The next feature I'm going to show you is the ability to mass back out depreciation. You've always had the ability to go in and back out depreciation for a single asset. And so Microsoft has added now the capability to reverse depreciation on a group or all assets. And this is done now under Routines. And so you go into the Routines Fixed Asset Depreciate window, which is the same depreciation window that you've always used, and there's now a reverse depreciation checkbox available in there. You set the depreciation target date to a date prior to your depreciated to date, and also within this window, instead of the little progress button that you used to have to click on up at the top of the window to see how your depreciation process was progressing, you now have a progress bar at the bottom of the window that automatically fills in as the depreciation process is running. The depreciation window is shown right here. Here's the new reverse depreciation box, and the progress button up here is gone, and this is the new progress bar down here at the bottom. So I'm going to demo in a moment depreciation of the auto group, and I'm going to actually back out depreciation and then show you in the book compare inquiry the difference from doing the back out of the depreciation. So we're going to first take a look at one of our assets here in inquiry. And I'm going to pull up the book compare for my big automobile. And I see here my internal book and my federal book. And both of them are depreciated through 2/28/2017. What I want to do is back out my internal, my GL book. I want to back out the 2017 depreciation back to 12/31/16. So I'm going to go into my routines and select depreciation. And here's that new little checkbox here. And I'm not going to back out depreciation for all of my assets, only a group of my auto assets. So just my auto assets are the ones I'm backing out. And to back them out, I need to check the reverse depreciation checkbox. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and put in 12/31/2016. So again, my assets were depreciated through 2/28/17. So I'm backing out February and January depreciation and going back to December of the prior year. And I'm only going to do this with one of my books. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my internal book and depreciate. And I get that extra chance box here where I can say cancel or OK. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you saw very briefly that little progress bar there flashed green. So my progress is finished. And I can now go back into my inquiry and take a look at Book Compare for my big automobile. And I can now see that my depreciated to date for my internal book has backed up from 2/28/17 to 12/31/2016. And if I look at my book record, that is also reflecting the new date right here. And I can also drill back from this window to look at my financial detail, and I'll show you the depreciation trend here. And this is Fabricam data. This is sample data, so it's not necessarily 100% accurate as books would go. So you're seeing transaction dates of 1975 here. That's not typically what you would see. But what I wanted to show you down here is the depreciation for period 1 of 2017 and period 2 of 2017. We can see it going in on 1/1/75 and coming out today on 5/16/2013. So that's a transaction now that is sitting and waiting to post over to General Ledger. So back to our slideshow. The next feature I want to show you is the ability to transfer assets between companies. And by that I mean between company databases. So it's pretty common for related entities to sell or trade assets amongst them. So this gives you the ability to transfer an asset from one of your companies, one of your legal entities, to another. And when you do this, it enables you to select the destination company's fixed asset class, location, structure, and analytical accounting alias. There are a couple of areas that do not transfer, and those include the insurance information, lease, and user data. And that doesn't transfer over, presumably because the legal ownership of that asset is changing, and so it's logical to assume that the insurance and lease that goes along with that asset is not being transferred over to the new owner. When the asset is transferred to the new company, it is automatically retired in the existing company. And that retirement date is determined by the type of transfer that you select when you're transferring it. So these are the transfer types available when transferring an asset from one company to another. You can go with the net book value, and that's the most common setting that you would select there. Like-kind exchange, a taxable exchange, a sale, other, or reset, what you would use if maybe you had added the asset to the wrong company, and you just basically need to kind of wipe it out in one place and move the whole thing over to the new company. Here's the window for intercompany asset transfers, and I only have one company set up, so I'm not able to demonstrate this for you, but I'll run through the window fields here. Here is the company that you would be transferring it to. So this company lookup will bring up all of your company databases, and then you go ahead and you select your asset right here and your transfer type. So this drop-down has those 6 or 7 different transfer types available. Here is the transfer date. So here's where you set the date that the ownership changes. The ownership of that asset changes. And here are the lookup windows that pull in from the destination company. And also, I wanted to point out in this window, you can do a partial transfer. So you can transfer a partial cost. So you can go in and type in a dollar cost amount. You can choose quantity, and it will automatically calculate the percentage of the asset that you're moving over. And it's that percentage that is used to calculate the financial debits and credits for the transfer transaction. The cost or the quantity would only apply, of course, if you have multiple quantities of that asset set up for in your system. And the next area is the fixed assets calendar. Previous to DP 2013, the fixed asset calendar operated independently of the fiscal year calendar that's used for setting up fiscal years under company setup. So now with these enhancements, you can base the fixed asset calendar on a calendar year, which is pretty much the default that we've always seen pop up in that window. You can base it on one of your fiscal years that are set up. You can base it on your fiscal year setup, which is very common. Or you can base your calendar on another fixed asset calendar. So you can have multiple fixed asset calendars within the system now. And you might want a different calendar for your internal or general ledger book than you would want for your tax book per se. Another thing that's nice about the fiscal year setup is when you have industries that typically don't follow a calendar year or a calendar month type of a calendar, that you can set it up so that you've got 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or 4, 5, 4, and you can actually just have the fixed asset calendar automatically mirror the fixed asset or the period setup that you've done in your fiscal year setup under company. If you have a sub-year or a short year, for example, you decide to change your fiscal year end, so you've had to have either a long year or a short year, you can set a percentage calculation for that short fiscal year. So if you have a 9-month year instead of a 12-month year, you might want to set your depreciation calculation to be 75% of what it is for a typical 12-month year. So the system will automatically use that percentage when determining how to depreciate assets for that short fiscal year. You can also base the quarters for your quarterly depreciation conventions on your fixed asset calendar. And the place where you set up the calendar has actually changed. It used to be utilities, and it is now in the fixed asset setup portion of the window. Here's the GP 2010 fixed asset calendar window. So you can see it was pretty limited. You had a beginning year and an ending year. You push the button and off you go. Then you have to go in and kind of manually manipulate it. Here's the new window. And down here, you're able to build your calendar based upon the fiscal period setup, a calendar year, or an existing fixed asset calendar setup. So you can see now you've got a calendar ID, and you can apply those calendar IDs to your book IDs. And then here's the percentage for the short or long year, so you can increase or decrease this percentage depending upon how long that stub or long year goes. Okay, the next feature I want to show you is, actually this is the last feature on the list, and the year field within the book setup window. So this is under Financial Setup Fixed Assets Book. That year field previously what could be changed, and that could result in incorrect depreciation in a future year if the previous year hadn't been completely closed. So what this is doing is preventing you from depreciating in the future if you haven't closed your prior year. And the way it works is the current fiscal year field within the book setup window. Once you have depreciated an asset within that fiscal or that fixed asset year, this field becomes gray and you're not able to change it. So that helps maintain accuracy in your depreciation records from year to year. And with that, I want to show you some additional resources. So we've gone through the new features and so forth, and there's a lot more information that you can find on how to use these features. You can, from within any window in GP, click the question mark in that window, and that will bring up the context-sensitive help for that window. I use it frequently to determine how a window is used, how a particular field in a window is used, and to see some guidelines from the online help on how to use the window. You can also, with GP 2013, the manuals aren't automatically loaded on your system. The reason they did that differently with this version is that the manuals can change over time. So they wanted you to be able to go out to Microsoft's website and download the current version of the manual. So here in this screen is the URL for being able to download that manual. And there is a direct link from within the help window in GP 2013 as well. And then also you can go out to Customer Source and search the knowledge base. Go out there, find additional information on GP. There's the GP Users Group, which is, it serves both the partner and the user communities. There's a website out there for the Microsoft Dynamics GP community where a lot of people blog, and there are forums where you can post questions. Of course, you can use Bing or Google. Just go out there and type in the phrase and search for it. So if you wanted to find something specifically on fixed assets for GP 2013, when you Google, you're going to want to type in Dynamics GP 2013 fixed assets, and that will get you out there to information on the web. Just a word of caution, though, it is the Internet, and anybody can put anything out on the Internet that they want to. So you want to read the content on the Internet, you know, taking into consideration who the contributor is and how reliable that source is for the information you're looking at. And last but not least, Microsoft 4 months ago released a YouTube video on the additional features within GP 2013. So I encourage you to go out and watch Microsoft's video on these new features as well. And with that, I will turn it over for questions and answers. And again, you need to enter your audio pin on the webinar in order for Dawn to be able to take you off of mute so you can ask a question. So I want to go ahead and open it up for questions. You want to go ahead and raise your hand, and I will do my best to answer any question that you have related to the fixed assets module.
All right. I had one question typed in here that I'll go ahead and ask you.
Great.
Yeah. So this is from, let me go back here. And this is from Daniel. And he says that his organization is currently using GP 2010. And he'd like to know if he could get the 2013 fixed assets individually, or if you have to update his entire system to 2013 to get 2013 fixed assets.
Very good question, Daniel. Thank you for asking that. And the answer is you have to update your entire system to GP 2013 in order to use the new features. They're all, part of that code dictionary that is very version specific. So you would want to do a full upgrade in order to take advantage of the features.
Great. And then we have Leni De La Cruz, who would like to ask a question. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute her. So go ahead and ask your question.
Leonie, I think we are getting a lot of feedback on your phone. That sometimes happens if computers aren't muted and they're connected to the webinar at the same time the telephone is. So I'm not sure how you're connected, but you might want to mute.
All right. I muted her back up so that she could get maybe her computer speakers.
And obviously, she can type the question in on the webinar pane as well.
Oh, okay. She just commented that she didn't have a question.
Oh, great.
Yep, so she's good.
Okay. Actually, she worked for a company that right now is in the process of implementing fixed assets. So I'm glad to see you here, Leonie.
And I'll just take a look through the rest of them here to see if anybody else has their hands raised or anybody else has a question.
No more questions?
Just going through here. Looks like Mike has an unanswered question here. Mike, I'll go ahead and unmute you so you can go ahead and ask your question. All right, Mike Zimmer, go ahead. Mike?
Mike, maybe do you want to try to type your question in if the audio isn't working?
Yeah. I am not seeing any other unanswered questions. Whoops, here we go. Let me see here. We already did Daniel. How about Jerry Weiss? Are you able to speak? Okay, Jerry, I'll go ahead and mute you back up if you're not able to talk. Sorry about that. It looks like here on we have Debbie who has a question. Debbie, I'm going to try to unmute you here. Are you able to speak? I see you have your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, spectacular.
Oh, yay, great, we got success.
Yeah.
My question is, she had shown where an AP item or an invoice could be attached to a fixed asset at the time that you're creating that fixed asset. Can you attach several invoices, or is it only one that you can attach?
Yes, you can attach several invoices, and this is true in previous versions as well. And to show you this, let me just enter and post a couple of quick transactions. And I'm going to actually buy a couple of chairs here. And to make them fixed assets, they're going to have to be pretty expensive chairs. So we're going to make them cost, let's see, $600 a piece. And I need that to go to my fixed assets clearing account, which I don't remember what the account number is. So, view my accounts here. And here's my fixed asset clearing account. So that's key to making sure that it's going to show up for me over in the general window when I set up the asset.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and post that. And then I'll go ahead and pull in another chair. And this one's a really nice chair. It's $900.
I want that chair.
And we'll do our fixed asset clearing account here again. Double check. Looks good. We'll post that. And then we're just testing, so I really don't need all these reports. And so now I have those two chairs posted to the fixed asset clearing account. So if I go over to my cards in financial and go into general, here's my next asset number. And again, you want to tab from that asset ID over to the suffix. And then I could just click this little drop down here to pull up a single purchase, or I can go into the purchase window, and that's where I can select both of those and create a single asset for a total of $1,500. So here, both of my invoices are linked to that one asset. So that's how you can combine costs from multiple purchases into a single asset.
Okay, so it's all through that top button then. Will that list?
Couldn't quite.
Will the button at the top that you chose that showed the two items, will that show everything that is available in fixed asset clearing?
Yes, it will. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I had to post those two transactions so I would have something in there to show you, because if there aren't any purchase records available, like in fixed asset clearing, you won't see that little drop down up here or the button, because you can see now that I've selected both of those.
Yeah.
Those two little buttons went away. So if you're expecting to see it here and you don't, then you want to probably go back and take a look at your company setups and make sure that integration from your purchasing modules is turned on, and also the account setups, and make sure that the account that you're posting those payables or purchase order receipts to are accounts that are flagged as fixed asset accounts. So
Okay.
it's posting it to that fixed asset clearing account and the fact that that account is flagged that causes it to show up here in my purchases.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
You are certainly welcome.
I have a couple more questions here that came in through the panel here.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel had asked, is there a detailed report for asset management and verification?
A detailed report for asset management and detail verification. I'm not 100% clear on what information you're looking for, but I'll pop over here to the reports for fixed assets and kind of show you what I know. So within fixed assets, there are 6 different groups here. The 3 groups that I see people using all the time are the inventory reports, and the inventory reports will give you a list by class, location, and structure. So it sort of depends upon the purpose of the report and why you are running the report as to which one you pick here. You've got a couple of property ledgers and locator lists here as well. The ones I see people use most often are these 3 right here. Over here in activity, you can go in and look at detailed activity for an asset. So this might be the report that you would be looking for. There also is this fixed asset to general ledger reconciliation report. And with the new enhancements to the general ledger posting window in fixed assets, this particular report isn't as important as it is in prior versions. But if you are using fixed assets in the version prior to GP 2013 and you don't know about this report, you need to pay attention, because this is in essence your edit list that will show you what will post to general ledger when you click that post to GL button. So in here you're going to want to set up a specific report option, and I usually call it unposted. And in here I pick only not interfaced. And that will give me a report of everything that is sitting waiting to post to general ledger. So this report will let you, go through and see what you've got sitting there waiting to post over. So this can give you an idea of, what periods you want to run posting for and so forth. In this data, there's a lot of stuff that's sitting over there waiting to post. This isn't necessarily typical of what you would see with all the different periods and so forth. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, Daniel, but I hope so. And I will I will give you my email address also. So if you guys have questions after the fact, feel free to send me an email. Okay, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, Daniel also had the question, is there a barcoding unit interface capability for asset setup?
Yes, there is. The one that I know of in the past came from a company called Maximum Data, and I believe that is now part of Accellos, A-C-C-E-L-L-O-S, I think is how it's spelled. But I'm not completely sure that technology has been updated. It was actually kind of old, but it enabled you to have barcodes on your assets. And there was a handheld scanner that you could use to go around and scan those barcodes in order to take your physical inventory. And then bring that handheld back, plug it into the dock, and it'll upload that count, so to speak, to your fixed assets module so that you can reconcile your physical inventory with your books. My hunch tells me that if they're not doing that if they don't provide that functionality, the handheld anymore, there's probably another vendor out there that will, or that does. I just don't know of them right now.
Great. Question from Jerry. They would like to know the reporting will show retired assets currently in the new version, but can you run net book value reports and not show assets that are retired?
Okay. In your report options window, you have the option to include retired or not. So you would control those retired assets and whether or not they show up on your report by checking these boxes.
Great. And one more question. If we have 2 or more fixed asset items in one invoice, do we have to break it out into AP distribution to create individual asset numbers?
It depends on, actually in AP, yes, you would. If you're using purchase order, there's a setting in here in the company setup where you are setting up your integration between the purchase order module and the fixed assets module. You can either set it up on that to do it by the PO receipt line item or the total amount posted to a general ledger account. So you'll want to look at your process and determine which is the best fit here. Most people choose receipt line because when you buy something, it's usually a specific line item that you're turning into an asset. So yes, on the purchasing side, you would definitely need to book it to 2 separate purchase distributions in order to create 2 separate assets.
Great. And Sean wants to know if you can import assets from Excel.
Yes, you can. There are two tools that you can use to import assets into your system. Within the, and I think it's under Utilities. No, I can't. I may not be able to remember where it is under fixed assets. But there is an import utility as part of the fixed assets module, and you can also use Integration Manager. So if you own Integration Manager, the Integration Manager eConnect adapter contains all of the fixed asset integrations. So I usually use the Integration Manager one, but I've used both, and they both work well for bringing in your assets from Excel. And you actually save your Excel file as like a CSV or tab delimited file, and then import them in. So when doing data conversion with fixed assets, there's kind of a lot of planning that needs to take place with regard to your setups and so forth ahead of time. And once you know what those setups are going to be, then you can massage your source data and import it in, and then reconcile, and then go live. So I can see we're actually at the end of the hour here. Do we have any more questions, Dawn?
There's one last question. How in-depth is the location ID?
It is informational only and used for reporting, so you can report by location, and you can also do physical inventory counts by location. So the real purpose of it is so that you can identify where that physical asset is held within your organization. Okay. Is that it for the questions?
That's it for our questions.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you very much for attending and giving us an hour of your time today. And at the when you log out of the webinar, you'll be presented with a very brief evaluation, and I'm asking if you will please take the time to fill that out. That tells us here at Socius whether or not we are meeting your needs, and gives us opportunities to improve these webinars moving forward, and also tells my boss whether or not I'm doing my job. So please, if you can take the time to fill out the evaluation, we would really, really appreciate it. And here's my contact information. If you think of a question, after the fact, or if I didn't completely answer a question for you, please feel free to email me at lwilliams@socius1.com. And I can also be reached by phone at 707-778-9101. Thank you so much for attending.